High updos are the latest rage, so I'm going to show you how to do this in 3 easy steps starting right now. We're going to start out by using the Smooth and Shine Styler by Olivia Garden. This is a natural bore and a bristle brush, which helps with picking up the hair and smoothing over the top. So I'm just going to give it a nice even brush through. And then I'm going to go straight in with my Up Style brush by Olivia Garden as well. The Style Up brush is a foldable, easy to use back combing brush, and this is intended specifically for updos and just getting more of that back combed lived in look. I'm going to pre-section the hair just directly in front of the ear and get that out of the way for now. I'm also going to do the other side. This does not have to be a perfect section. You can even choose to do a zigzag section if you wanted to, because this is going to go back in just a moment. I'm now going to switch back to my Smooth and Shine style brush, and I'm going to bring everything up into a nice high ponytail. The higher you place this pony, the easier the next step is going to be. So I'm really aiming at the very top of the crown, basically. I want to get this as high as I possibly can. I'm okay with it being a little bit messy because this look is actually more undone looking, which is what creates this more romantic feel in general with the style itself. I'm now going to use a regular elastic at the very top of the head, and I'm going to secure that pony in place with that elastic. As you can see, it's a regular pony, nothing special here, using an elastic, and then you still have your divided sections out. I'm now going to take a second elastic here, and I'm going to open up the pony a little bit so I can see the very inside of that pony. I'm going to grab the center of that pony and I'm going to push it up using my second elastic. So I'm going to take the elastic, wrap it around through here, and you have a little bit of a knot. And now I can pull this open. The messier the better when it comes to this. Don't worry about it looking perfect because you're going to perfect everything later on. You now have the tails hanging out, kind of displayed all over the place. You're going to clean that up later. And now pull the clips out on each side. I'm going to start out by maybe removing a couple pieces from the front just to have a little bit of that romantic piece in the front. I can always choose to bring it back later if I wanted to. I like it to look a little bit more undone, so I don't like to section that out. I just kind of use my fingers to pull it out and release it down. The next step is I go in with kind of a diagonal back section, so I'm subdividing the sides into 2 pieces. I'm just going to bring everything, directing it all the way over just behind the ponytail. And then I'm going to use the tail of my comb, and I'm actually going to kind of relax all this out a little bit. I really want it to be a more natural, relaxed looking feel, not too overdone. And then I'm going to grab a bobby pin. So I'm going to open the bobby pin up. It's the straight on top and then the ruffles on the bottom. And I'm going to secure this in place. And I'm going to put a secondary one right over the top of it so that it makes a little bit of a crisscross pattern. Just like that. The hair is going to go over the top of that, so you're not really going to see it, but you can always hide it later. I'm going to take my second piece of my subsection and bring it straight up through here. Again, if you want some soft tendrils or romantic pieces around the face, you could choose to leave some of that hair out if you would like. Again, this is not required. This is definitely something more tailored to your own style, I suppose, and of course the framing that each person has around their face. And then I'm going to bring everything straight back. I'm going to pinch it through the center of the section. I'm going to use my actual bobby pin. I'm going to open it straight up. Place the bobby pin through that piece that I just had my fingers. And I'm going to go even higher up, and I'm going to actually overlap it over those bobby pin sections. And I'm going to stick it straight into the ponytail. I'm going to use a secondary bobby pin through here. I'm not going to open it at all. I'm just going to grab it to the first, and I'm going to fish it in and anchor it down. Just like that. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Again, I'm going to drop a couple pieces out, just let it feel a little bit more natural. And I'm going to subdivide each one of these pieces, pulling it straight back through here. I'm going to use my Style Up brush. I'm going to bring everything straight back and toward that ponytail, and then I'm going to drop some of those longer pieces down so it curves around the head, ruffle side down. I'm going to open this up and push that straight in to the pony. And then I'm gonna do another one to cross over the top. Okay, this is my last one. I'm gonna bring everything straight up. This time I'm gonna pull it a little bit tighter toward that pony, pinch the center in, open my bobby pin all the way, replace the bobby pin where my finger was, guide it exactly on top of those cross bobby pins, and push it straight into the ponytail. And then I can use a secondary one to guide it in and go the opposite direction to lock it in place. The next step is our fun zone. So now we're actually gonna just open everything up and just start to maneuver down like areas that you wanna see it collapse a little bit more. This is a little too done looking to me, so I'm just gonna take some of those pieces and anchor them down to push around the texture and to show this off a little bit more as a finished style. You can pinch some of these pieces and open them up, move them around. And I have not grabbed the curling iron yet, so I will do that in a moment. But as I'm kind of maneuvering things around, I've got a little bit of extra hair through here, so I'm actually gonna take part of the tail from that hair, and I am gonna push it higher up through this pony, and I'm gonna place that in to that pony. So I get a little bit more height, a little extra interest through that texture as well. I'm now switching over to regular hairpins, and this allows me to get in and push it down where I want to see it anchored more. My final step is I'm going to go in with my titanium ion iron by Olivia Garden. This is a 1-inch curling iron. I will open it up all the way, and I'm just going to wrap the front pieces around the barrel really lightly, pushing that up, slight turn, and then I'm just going to release that. I'm just going to kind of do this on all the tendrils. Because these tendrils are longer for this doll head, it's not really a fair representation. Most people's hair is not going to be so disconnected. But if this is the case, I will show you a little trick that I like to do where you can still have that tendril effect without having to cut those pieces shorter and still keep some length and give it a little bit more dimensional value. Before I place those pins in, I'm going to take these pieces that are hanging out from the very ends here, and I'm going to give it a little bit more of a finesse turn. So I'm just going to polish out some of these ribbons that I see here. I don't want it to look too perfect, however, so I'm not going to give it a perfect turn all the way through. There are some pieces that I might just grab it and give it a slight turn through the middle, and I'll leave the ends out, for instance. This is something also like this type of updo. You don't necessarily even have to do this final step. I'm just doing it to kind of show you a more polished version of it. But I personally like it when it's a little bit more undone and it doesn't really have too much of a coiffed texture. I think when we overdo things with iron, sometimes it can take away from really how gorgeous an updo really can be. You can even mix up different textures, for instance, where you can take some of the tails and then wrap it around just like they did for the front pieces, and others where you have a completely closed lip type shape as well. So just play around with it and give it variation, because this type of look calls for multiple textures, and we do want it to be slightly more undone. So don't overdo it, basically, is what I'm saying. Notice how I didn't do any type of spray yet. Like, I really want to kind of control what's happening with some of this undone texture first. When you start putting spray into it, it's really easy to let everything look really crystallized and hardened. So we really want it to look soft and elegant. And right here, I'm not loving how much length or disconnection we're seeing between the fullness of the updo here. I'm just gonna take these longer pieces through here and I want to give it a little bit of a shake so they're not too bunched up together. And then I want to take my bobby pin and slide it all the way in through here. And now I'm just going to redirect it. So I'm going to push it through the center of the style, right through there. And this is where I can kind of relax and move everything apart. And now you can see that everything is more centered here rather than so much weight or length being down through the bottom. Okay, so this is the part that I was talking about with these longer pieces through here, just so it's not so disconnected looking. I can bring some of this to the side, so I'm actually going to use my up style brush again, and I'm going to back comb this entire front piece through here, and then use the opposite side to smooth it over a little bit so it's not like looking so back combed. You can see how that softened it up a little bit. And now I'm just going to move this away more loosely. I'm just going to push this back up through the style and use my bobby pin to take that piece through there, and I'm just going to push it in through the top. That adds a little bit more interest, and you can see how there's still some tendrils along the side here. You can pick and choose, like you could decide to move those tendrils completely out of the way if you want to. In this situation, if the hair were this much longer, then yes, I would want that to actually pull back away from the face instead of it looking like this, because that can feel very dated. And through the evening, if somebody were to wear this, it would just get really stringy looking. So I'm going to grab all of this away, and I just want it to be even looser around the face to add another element of texture into it. Once again, I'm going to grab my up style brush, and I'm just going to give it a gentle back brush, and I'm going to pull both of these pieces. Since it's such a small space and the pieces are finer, I'm just going to grab both of them, put that bobby pin in place, and then I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit loose as I'm pulling it into the rest of my style through here. And there you have it, the Pile High Updo, 3 easy steps, 3 tools. I'm gonna link more in the description below so you can find those tools. Try this out for yourself, definitely subscribe, and let me know below if you want more instructions like these. I'll see you soon.